Hello, everybody, and welcome to Music Industry Insights Worldwide. And today I have the amazing Blue with us. Hi, Blue, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. The sun is shining. That's kind of all I need to be happy, really.
Oh, it's a beautiful day, isn't it? And thank you so much for taking the time out to come along and share your story and what you do with us today.
No, thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate it. You know what I mean? It's great to be here.
Thanks, Blue. Do you want to tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Blue Canarinho. I'm currently sitting at Reprezent Radio, which is a youth-led platform in Brixton. Originally it was a radio station and has kind of developed into so much more because there's so much that you can kind of do in modern media. We kind of encourage everyone to get involved in all sides of it. The radio station is more just almost like the community center where everything begins, but we encourage people to go and do wherever they want. Outside of that, I'm an artist as well. I paint like expressionism style pieces that I collect like little various things while I'm traveling around doing my DJing. I pick up little bits and try and incorporate them into expressionist pieces. On top of that, music producer and like I said, DJ. So yeah, just kind of a general creative and happy soul, I'd like to say.
Many creative hats as well. So you've got loads of different talents. You can also diversify your income stream as well whilst you're doing that, right? Doing the things you love.
You have to, in 2024 you have to, but people say you have to, it's like it's a negative thing. I think it's a positive thing, the more you learn, the kind of more you can explore the world. If you're just a DJ, say for instance, which is a very much like a great thing, a big part of my life, then you kind of only in the DJ circles or the music circles. Whereas if you kind of delve into other passions, whether they become something that is like an actual income or if it's just something you enjoy doing, you
Yeah.
find yourself in different circles, meeting new people and just experiencing the world, but through your passions versus maybe just when you go on holiday or something.
Advice. Great, great advice there for the listeners as well. So, how long have you actively been doing what you do, and how did you get into it?
I would say maybe, well, I was a graffiti artist when I was a kid. That was like the first thing that got me into art and the creative side of things. But obviously that doesn't make too much money. But I don't think any graffiti artist ever does it for that.
Yeah.
I wasn't like the best ever. I just enjoyed the process. I always was quite a respectful person, never like, train lines or things that could like disrupt. That's just not my style. I was kind of more legal walls or maybe some abandoned walls. If a place was about to be like knocked down or something, you can use it as a creative space. That was my style as a kid. But yeah, as I started growing up, I kind of started edging a little bit towards music because I
Yeah.
started creating like mixes to listen to while I was out, doing my art, my free art. And then the music just kind of took over. I never really stopped doing the art. I just stopped doing graffiti. The music took on a new kind of thing for me. I started getting booked around places because I had I guess, a unique style mixing Latin and house and hip hop and just all kinds of things that I grew up listening to. Maybe it was something unique. I was currently in Liverpool at the time. I was in Liverpool, so maybe it was something a little bit different for there. And then yeah, I moved to London maybe 10 years ago to study music. Yeah, because I'm really into music at this point. I'd already kind of lived in Ibiza and done all of them kind of things as a DJ, just living in a hostel. But I thought, let me try, really make something out of this by moving to London.
Yes.
When I got here, I knew no one, of course, I knew no one. I'd kind of been around living in Spain and living, obviously, Liverpool for a little bit and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm gonna give it a go. I arrived here, yeah, 10 years ago to study, and then I found Represent. I had no home. And then I thought, how am I gonna get to know people? And this Represent, one of my friends was a DJ here and was like,
Okay.
it's the place, it's if you want to meet people like on a genuine level, not just on a professional level, this
Yes.
is the
Place to be.
yeah,
Fantastic.
and then 10 years ago, and I've kind of been here ever since. I was a presenter for a long time, and while I was studying, I offered to, like work for Represent if they needed any kind of assistance because I knew a lot about music.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of like the stand-in one of the managers, I guess. Funny how things can happen. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I love it here, it's a great place, and what Represent did for me, I want to do for the next generation.
I love that. It's really inspiring as well, and quite familiar to my own story, where sometimes you have to travel and you have to move around to get to where you want to go and be in the right places, right? So, how did that affect you, and how did that make you feel? Obviously, did that give you more strength and more, determination to succeed and meet new people and push you into areas that you might not have gone to if you was in a more comfortable, say, friendly group of people?
Yeah, 100%. I'm naturally like quite a not introverted. I'm kind of extrovert, but I'm quite shy. I'm really not naturally loud, and I'm definitely, if there's a room of people, unless I feel very comfortable, I'm usually just quiet to myself. If you want to speak to me, I'll be your best friend.
Yeah,
But I'm not the person that can just go up to and speak to people. But again, like, arriving here, I didn't really know what to do because everybody seemed a lot more confident in themselves in London than what
yeah,
I was used to. And I was like, I don't know how to break this down. How can I be myself? And yeah, I say quite a few times, Represent was that place that encouraged me, give me a voice.
I
You
love that.
know,
And a
I
purpose.
yeah, I never thought, when I told my mom I was becoming a radio presenter, she couldn't believe it. She was like, you never speak unless, you're kind of like very, very comfortable people. How are you now going to speak to thousands of people at one time?
Right.
Like, they're teaching me how to do it. They're giving me the confidence. They're telling me, I was scared of my accent, and I was like, they were like, no, it's good, embrace it. It's like, don't worry that you speak different to everyone else. It's fine. I thought, everybody on radio had to sound like they was on Radio One. They were like, no, it's cool. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, then it's fine. I can be sometimes quiet, sometimes low, sometimes loud, sometimes sound like English is not my first language because that's how I just speak sometimes. But and sometimes it does, because it is in theory. But
Yeah.
they encouraged it, and that's why I like speaking to you and having these kind of conversations. I want people to know that there's places and there's people that do want your uniqueness.
Yeah.
It what makes you that's what's cool. But from the outside, to a lot of us, you think, oh, you maybe in London, or everything has to be perfect and slick, and the DJs have to be the coolest people ever, and the presenters have to speak like they studied in Oxford, but they're kind of cool at the same time, and everything has to just be perfect all the time. That's how I felt,
Wow. Interesting.
and I don't now I know that that's not the case. But
Yeah.
it's that Represent told me that was, you don't have to, and I was like, oh, okay, great then.
And you've obviously traveled a lot, like you mentioned earlier on. So, how has that affected you, and what kind of challenges and barriers have you faced and overcome to be where you are today? Because your story is super inspiring to a lot of people. And I'm sure so many listeners can resonate of having to move around, having to sleep on sofas, having to stay in hostels. Like you've mentioned some of it. Tell us some more.
Yeah. So yeah, the first time I moved to Blanes with my cousin, which is just outside of Barcelona. It's just
Yeah,
up the coast a little bit, and at the time, like the language kind of barrier was a little bit difficult. With like the outskirts of Catalonia, they don't want to even speak Spanish, of which they will prefer to speak Catalan. And so, I'm kind of trying to figure out the culture, which is kind of like it's just trying to get my head around everything. I had no money. I was like 17 or 18. My mom was, and dad were very like encouraging. That's one thing that, not everybody has. And, I do, always appreciate them for kind of encouraging it, but it didn't make it any less difficult. There were some things that I maybe didn't tell them, some struggles as the time went on that I kind of didn't mention. I went and did out there for a while. I came back to Liverpool. I moved then to Ibiza, and yeah, I'm staying in hostels. It's like the cheapest one on the island. We used to have to go to like the clubs for free. So basically, back in the day, I used to be able to get into the club in the first half an hour for free.
well, I get
We'd be
members.
in there. Yeah, you remember?
I
Yeah, it
remember.
used to be like if you had a wristband,
Yeah,
you could get in, and we couldn't even afford the water, and you can't drink the water out in Ibiza, so we're just standing there, feeling dehydrated, but we wanted to, like, we were inspired, with that passion. We wanted to see these DJs and learn from them, and we just stand there. We didn't even want to dance too much in case we lost, like we would be too dehydrated, you
I
know.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. You know, with like Carl Cox or whatever was not on until like 4 a.m. and we'd been in there since 10.
dancing.
Um, yeah, and then yeah, moving to London, I was kind of here on my own. My family had moved to the Middle East. My sister, she had moved back to Liverpool because she was trying to raise a kid, which you know is thriving and he's doing great. But I was kind of alone a lot. You know, like I say, I didn't want to upset my family and tell them maybe struggles that I was going through. You know, I was in university, and because of like certain, I don't know how they'd make the decision on the loans and the grants and stuff
Right.
like this.
Student
I
finance.
was struggling like very, very bad. Like they didn't give me a grant, but they give me just the loan, which meant I still had to work full time in
Yeah.
Oxford while I was in university. So I'd go to a lecture, you know, go work there for a few hours, go back and then like ask if I could have like an evening shift for a few hours. Whilst in university, you know, I ended up becoming vegetarian through necessity because meat was like my biggest outgoing.
Yeah.
And then I started like the reason I became vegetarian because I had to like steal meat every day from the co-op.
Oh,
And we're not talking a lot, you know, it's just like I'd maybe like have like one chicken fillet a day and I'd steal the packet. And it just isn't, it's not something that I am like, and I felt bad all the time because I
yeah.
was like, this is not me. Like stealing things is not good. It just felt like a necessity, and I can see, you know, why these things happen. And you know, people say, why does someone steal something or do this? I understand why,
Yeah.
and it can be like really tough if you're in a certain situation. I
Yeah.
don't condone it, but I understand it.
Yes.
And that's how I became vegetarian for quite a long time.
Mm.
But I didn't understand nutrition, so I was just eating like nothingness. You know, I didn't understand about like pulses and you know like the proper vegetarian meals. No one in my family had ever been vegetarian. We're
Right.
quite eating, so I'm just kind of eating like rice and you know like a pepper or something. Just terrible things. Like lost so much weight.
And you know,
Uh, it was one of them things. It was pretty rough, you know. My family were like, "Why are you losing so much weight?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a choice, because I'm vegetarian." And they were like, "You don't look healthy, you know, you look sad." And I was like, it really was, you know, quite a struggle. You know,
yeah.
I quite have many ups and downs. You know, traveling opened my eyes to a lot of things. You know, to go back to your original question, it
Yeah.
did kind of open my eyes, you know, because here in the UK and in Europe in general, you know, it's quite a well-off continent, you
Yeah.
know. But then when you go to like more the outskirts of like, you know, Southern Europe and stuff like that, you start seeing like, you know, what's actually kind of going on. And, you know, I started learning UK, especially like I was in London at the time, is a city of like excess almost, you know. And so it just made me realize you can be happy. I can be happy. I can do this. You know, I just need to like educate myself on nutrition and, you know, I will be okay. I will be okay. You just have to like convince yourself that you will be okay. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's the only way. It
Yeah.
is the only way. And I learned that from, yeah, you know, kind of being on the outskirts of like of European cities, you know, they can make do and they happy, you know, much happier than most people in London
I
still.
know. Yeah.
So
Really, really
yeah,
happy. I love life. And I
yeah.
think the thing is, I get from this, what you're saying is literally every time you stepped out of that box, you've learned, you've grown, and it's not always been comfortable, but you've managed to achieve what you really want to achieve. So well done to you. And that's kind of something that's going to inspire other people too, right? Is you don't always have to worry about how it's going to turn out. You just have to throw yourself in the deep end and do it, right?
Correct, exactly. You just never know. And it's weird to say, but within them like dark times, there was some of my like happiest moments in my life.
Yeah.
Because you know you kind of start appreciating like the actual things in life. You know, I have much more of appreciation on my relationships with people
Yeah.
than I did like before, where everything's not necessarily superficial, but it's not as connected. Whereas
Yeah.
when you kind of, yeah, you're meeting people and you have that genuine connection, it means a lot more, you know, just for some reason. I don't know, I'm not a psychologist, I don't understand how the human brain works, but it's somehow it does, you know, when you take away the, oh, you have friends because you both like Air Max or something like that, which is fine. I like Air Max. you know, but
Good
once you
pattern.
take that away, yeah, once you take that away, and that's not why you're friends with someone, you're friends with someone because it's a genuine connection, you're both broke, you know, you're both just like happy being in each other's company. That's
Yes.
where you kind of start finding, you know, like real connections with people. And that's where you can kind of, I found it much more easier to navigate my older life, knowing who are like friends that I just have something in common with, which is completely fine. And I like having these casual conversations about nothingness, you know, about like just say your music friend and that's it. You know, you both like house music or but you kind of that's about all the limit is. That's fine. But
Yeah.
then like them other ones we like, no, this is deeper than this. We kind of like
Yeah.
we don't have as much in common, but for some reason we just love speaking. I love that. You know, I'm like it made me more open to like having these friends. When
That's
people
true.
are like, how is it that you two are friends? It's like we just like each other. We're just, you know, we
Honestly,
enjoy like conversation.
yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. I totally feel that. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about Represent and the radio, what radio show, what you do?
Yeah,
And
of course. I'm always happy to speak about Represent with the you know with it doing so much for me.
yeah,
So yeah, it was started maybe 13 years ago, I want to say. And at the beginning, it was kind of just like it was a radio station, but it was more of a youth center.
yeah,
Like, you know, let's have it right. But you know, it had like the ethos of, you know, getting kids off the street and giving them somewhere to go. But instead of just the classic, you know, youth center of like the 90s or whatever, which I was going to, where it's just like a pool table, kids are playing football and this, which is still very good. And I think it's very, very important, which we're seeing less and less of.
mhm,
It kind of was like, how's about we harness their creativity into something that can actually like go on to something, you know, give them something. They come in here to do a radio show, and the discipline behind doing a good radio show is like is can be quite extreme, you know. But we're here to guide and not judge. You know, it's not like, oh, that was terrible. Is this is like we'll listen back with people, you know, see how we can improve and stuff like that. So when I first arrived, it was like the first generation of when Represent started sounding a lot better and being quite well known in London.
yeah,
You know, that's where maybe like Kenny All-Star, who went on to One Extra, you know, kind of began. And then in my kind of era, it was kind of like Henry, who was on Kiss, and Remy, who's on Radio One. And, you know, we all were here together and everyone's gone on to do whatever they're doing. I was at the BBC the other day and I've seen 7 people from Represent, you know, and it's just kind of like,
yeah,
okay, it's not becoming that industry known. It's almost like a training school for the creative industries almost at this point,
yeah,
which is just an amazing thing. Someone will come and they still don't want to be a radio presenter, but we can teach them so many skills that will be transferable. Even if, you know, some people, again, I was in the Sony building and there was another 4 people, you know, one person's an A&R, one person's a label manager now, and that has nothing to do with radio, but they learn it
they,
here.
they are,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's the
100%,
same skills.
yeah. I really,
Um,
really, and how, and what's the age group of the people that can attend?
it's 18 to 25
Yeah,
for when you're joining Represent.
yeah,
That's just the window that we do. A couple of years back, before COVID, we were able to do like work experience from like 16 to 18, which is really great, and we'd love to get back to doing that. Because you know, there's no reason to not. It's just that you have to go through a different kind of set of like rules or whatever. But we're all fully DPS checked and stuff like that. So I'd love to get back to that.
great.
Um, you can still be on Represent after 25, but you just can't join if that makes any sense, because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like the of like training. Like say, for instance, you know, I'm just over 30 and I'm still here, but I was here from when I was like
yeah,
22.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
okay.
and so on and so forth. You know, that and that's completely fine. People stay until they decide
Yeah,
it's time to go to their next destination. And that's one thing that we really encourage. Represent is probably the only business model I've ever known that brings people on and is excited for them to leave. It's
yeah,
like we
yeah,
put all of our energy and money into training someone when get nothing back, and we want them to leave like in a positive way. You
yeah,
know, we want them to go to BBC. Like that's good. We don't mind doing all the legwork. It'd be great if we could get some extra funding, but we do what we do out of love, because
right.
we don't get paid for every person that then goes on anywhere. We
Yes.
just do it out of love. That's kind of the ethos of here is come, learn, leave. you
And
know, so teach the next one.
and how often do you run your stuff? Is it a daily thing? And do you have to pay to do that?
No, you don't have to pay to be a rep. It's not like the old pirate radio, model, which I've always understood because people like taking time out of their own day and they have to, there's a lot of costs behind it.
Yeah.
We don't. We are now a fully registered charity as well, which
Right.
is going to help us with staying afloat and stuff like that. We kind of do brand deals. Anytime that we do like a gig, if a brand is paying, then we make sure the DJs get paid.
Yeah.
You definitely don't have to be paid to be here. Yeah, we broadcast 24/7. We're on FM, so we kind of are obliged to by Ofcom. We're regulated the same way every other radio station is. If you're on FM, you can't swear and you have to keep going 24/7.
Well, I'll get that one. So can you tell us if anyone wants to donate money to Represent, or if they want to find out more about Represent, how could they connect with you?
Yeah, so there's the classic like info@represent.org.uk, which is a very general one. It then bounces something back saying if your how you say your question or it is regarding certain things to email this person, to email this person. Donations are always welcome. We did a GoFundMe not too long ago. You say GoFundMe, something like this.
Yeah.
A funding thing, yeah. And it went really well. The thing that made it super special is that it's not that we expected all of like the big corporations to help us, but it actually was people that got us over the line.
Right.
It was like an actor that had been here for an interview while they had been promoting a movie. Like I'm never going to name names, but they sent us like £1,000. Someone that used to be a DJ here and is now on BBC sent 100. They were like, oh, just to say thank you. That's what actually got us there.
Well
That's
done.
what got us there, which was like really heartwarming.
Yeah.
We're always open to work. I personally, I'm always like, and I always prefer to work for the money. We always appreciate donations, but anytime that someone has like a business or something that maybe they can do, if they're an event that's doing well,
Yeah.
and they want to donate, let's just collab on an event so they can get something out of it too. We like to do things versus, we're not trying to just be saved by people. We want to work with people. We enjoy it. That's the whole point of it. Money is one thing, but it's kind of like doing things and bringing the kids and, showing them that like there's still interesting things going on.
Yeah.
That's just kind of what it's about. But yeah, if there's anything else, you can just email me.
Yeah.
That's blue@represent.org.uk.
Uh,
So one of all our emails is just our name @represent.org.uk. So if you know anyone in the building or who's on rep, it's probably just their name. And then we're really simple.
Thank you very much. And what's your thoughts and feelings? You're based in Brixton as well, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're based in Brixton. It was originally in Peckham, but now we are in Brixton. We're inside of Pop Brixton, which
Okay.
is really fun because they have pies downstairs. And it's just a cool environment to kind of be in.
Yeah.
They always keep saying Pop Brixton's going to close, but they've been saying that for about 5 years now. So just one of them things that they
Yeah.
keep going. I think Represent will always be Brixton. There's just some kind of connection here. We have quite a strong connection to the Caribbean community, both with the people who are on the station
Yeah.
and just in general,
Yeah.
being in South London.
Yeah.
I live in East London. I'd always wanted to be East, but that's just
Yeah.
I'm just sick of commuting. But I
Yeah.
do what I have to do. I understand the bigger mission. I get out my own way, and yeah, we're in Brixton. Brixton proud.
Fantastic. So what's your thoughts and feelings around equality, diversity, and inclusion in the radio sector at the moment? What do you think?
Yeah, so it was something that we were speaking about when we first met. Originally, it's something that I think is very, very important. It's something that kind of I feel got neglected for quite a while, and people didn't even think about it. And it's probably something that got neglected for a long time in all industries.
Yeah.
But I feel like the creative industry in general kind of caught up, but I didn't see it as much in the radio.
Okay.
Say like DJs and the clubbing sector seem to catch up a lot quicker, and that seems to be thriving. It seems to be getting there. It's still so far to go. There's still
Yeah.
so far to go, but it seems to be like moving at a good pace. It could always move faster, but people are starting to, be more open to it in the DJ world. Parties are like some of the parties I've been to like lately are some of the most diverse crowds I've ever seen, and I love that. And nobody seems to be batting an eyelid, and that's the beautiful thing about it. Everyone's there enjoying themselves. You know, no matter what your background, people are there enjoying themselves. How to move that to radio, I think, is like the next steps, because
Yes.
not as much, let's say, like when say on radio, not that I want to put in BBC or, you know, in the majors or whatever. How diverse are they really?
Yeah.
It's kind of diverse, but let's be real, there's more people that aren't being represented. That's the word. Because I'm in represent, I always feel weird saying the word, but there's not everyone's being represented
Yeah.
in the majors, in the commercial radio sector.
Yeah.
And I think once again it'll be down to us to kind of pave the way. Like if we can do it from the grassroots level,
Yeah.
then they'll follow suit, because you know, say the people that run these things, they're still quite old school. They
Yeah.
need us to show them the way, as we always have done.
Fantastic.
And so that's something that's a big part to represent. It's something that we spoke about in meetings.
Yeah.
We speak about like quality and diversity in almost every meeting, and we still have like a way to go. And we're trying to find the next generation of people from every background, you know, and everything. Where, you know, we want every single person that can be represented in
Yeah.
represent. That's the whole point.
And are you seeing more women coming through and wanting to be a radio DJ or a DJ or anything like that? Are you seeing more of that as well now?
Yeah, so that's like that's the first one. They, you know, women are like, I think maybe our females are, you know, identifying are probably, I think it's maybe more than the male counterparts at the moment at the
Uh,
station.
yeah.
Um, if for some reason when it comes to the presenting side of it, the guys have started like moving to just wanting to be DJs.
Okay.
And we're losing the voice, but that's okay because they took up that much, they took up that space for long enough. That's fine by us. We're like, great, you know, and we're encouraging more females to be like DJs, you know, to be able to make the extra money. It's not like that the guys are the DJs and the girls are the presenters, because that's like quite an old school, you know, the guy does the technical things because they're a guy, and you know the girl does the presenting because they have like that's super old school. I want it to be like the other way around. I want everyone to be doing everything. So
So,
we'll be teaching people how to be DJ. If they say they want to be a DJ, we're like, cool. They show you how to DJ. We want you to be playing our next event. We're
yeah,
gonna do everything that we can.
amazing.
Um, but yeah, that you know, it's great. You know, if you look on, I think if you look around, there is a lot more DJs that are female identifying, and they're getting great bookings, and I just love to see it.
Good. Same here. Yeah, that's really good. And what would you like to see change in the next couple of years? If there's one or two things that you would like to personally see change, what would they be?
In the creative industry, or in radio, or in the world?
All the creative industry, I will do. Yeah, whichever ones you.
What would I like to see? I just kind of want to see, it's really difficult because, you know, a lot of people aren't feeling so positive about the kind of creative industries, you know. Unfortunately, like news is, we're kind of bombarded with news and,
Yeah,
you know, stuff like this all the time because of social media. And there's just nothing we can do to avoid it. But a lot of it is like negative news.
I was
And
going
it'll
to
be that, yeah, you know, if you're in the creative industry, you may as well just give up, or you're going to be poor your whole life, or this or whatever. I just kind of want to see more positivity, like being like
say. Mhm.
shown.
Yeah,
Like that, I'm really simple that way. It's like I don't know what I can do to change like the bigger picture other than what I'm doing. You know, what we do here, we're gonna continue doing it. And there's nothing until the day this place closes. We're never gonna change. There's just I refuse. There's just not gonna happen. But they're never gonna ask me to change, so it's okay. So
yeah,
we're doing what we can. All I want to see is like other people just kind of feeling a little bit more positive. I don't know how we do that as, you know, a community as a whole. I
yeah,
don't know how to get there. I really don't. But as your question was, what would I like to see?
yeah.
Is that, you know, I wanted to, you know, I'm probably one of them peace and love kind of people. I want to, you know, I don't want to see bad things happen no more. I don't want to,
I
not
don't.
that I want to put my head in the sand, but I just don't want to see it no more. There's like so much good stuff happening.
With action. Yeah,
Let's, make loudspeaker that, you know.
yeah, yeah. And obviously, being in the music and entertainment industry, it does affect people's mental health. Has it affected yours? And if so, what have you done to kind of make that less impactful on how you operate?
Yeah, it's really difficult because yeah, like although my mom and dad were very encouraging, people and of me, and they understood that I was gonna do what I was gonna do. They was always kind of like, you do realize you're gonna be like poor for your whole life, right?
Yeah, they
Like,
always say that, don't they? Music doesn't pay the bills. Yeah, I got told that.
yeah, exactly. And pretty much everyone, kind of tells you that. And that can have an impact on you. It's okay when you're in maybe your 20s or whatever.
Yeah,
Now I'm like going into my 30s, it's like I feel like I'm in constant like battle of what I should be doing. It's really difficult. You start having more responsibilities just in general, or you kind of feel them a little bit more.
yeah,
And so when things can feel like quite bad or tough, like it really feels tough. It almost feels like, and because you're like, I can't switch or pivot like jobs now, if that makes any sense. That's how it feels.
very
Like
personal, isn't it?
yeah, like you kind of feel like, what am I actually going to do here? Because, like I was saying, the reason I want more productivity is because, yeah, all the time I see like, yeah, you do this job or wherever you're in this, it's like, oh man, that industry is like going. I'm like, well, we're kind of committed like so long to it, what am I gonna do now? In the last 6 months alone, I think I've done a sustainability course thinking I was gonna have to move to an energy company.
Oh
I've
wow.
been doing Google project managers, which can kind of work, it works like in here as well. But I'm like constantly in a state of I need to get out because it's going nowhere. Wait, no, I can't because it's too late. And that can really go on top of you.
Yeah, I'm
It
sorry.
really
Yeah,
can. But I try to, stay as healthy as I can and keep my mental health in check, I try and walk where I can when there's a nice day. It
yeah,
will not catch me inside. I will just be walking around London, just like, just trying to just feel good about things, trying to have good interactions with people. I don't even need to like go and buy something from Tesco. I'll go to Tesco and buy a banana just so I can like have a nice interaction and ask the guy how it is, or the serve, the person that's like giving you the thing. I'll go out not on the self checkout just so I can ask,
talk.
ask them how they are, just to talk to them, just to kind of brighten their day and brighten my own, these interactions.
Love that.
I'll try that's something I will do. Everyone has their own way of doing things. I guess it's kind of like walking meditation. I can't do the sitting one,
Yeah, yeah,
but I will happily just walk around London with no headphones on, just walking. And that's like my version of meditation, let my kind of my thoughts go where they're going. And I
yeah,
always feel better afterwards. Every single time. I'll do it in the rain. I don't mind. Obviously it's too bad during the sun. But if we're waiting for the sun,
yeah,
then I wouldn't really get many walking days in London. So yeah, mental health is a very important thing. And I'm very happy that people are now speaking about these things.
yeah.
On speaking to you, like being able to be so open. So thank you for, giving me the space to speak.
Thanks.
Um, yeah, I think it's like really important. You don't have to speak about things all the time. You might need to like have some time on your own to kind of come to your own thoughts, and that's completely fine. Like there's not too much pressure on people, you don't have to go and do therapy or anything like this. It's like you can kind of do it on your own for a little while, but if you do feel like you need to speak to someone, it's good that we're now kind of giving each other spaces to do so.
Yes.
Uh, and I love, yeah, that you're doing this, and hopefully this encourages other people to kind of know it's okay, here at Represent is become just as much of a community center slash venting
Yeah.
building. And
Let it.
that's fine, like my boss would be on me like, have you done this, done this? I'm like, no, it's just been one of them. Everyone comes and vents to me day. And that is completely fine, that is fine because it's for the greater good. And so that adds to what we do here.
Creativity is also an outlet and an expression, isn't it? So that's probably where it kind of intertwines. So thank you so much. We're running out of time now. So we've got a
Uh,
few minutes left. So it's gone really fast. So thank you. One last question, and it's have you got any major wins or successes that you would like to share with us? And how can people connect with you? I know you've shared your email already. Is there anywhere else they can connect with you on social media?
yeah, my at is at Blue Canarinho, which is just blue, the English spelling. And then if you put in like CANARINHO, It should probably show up by that point, but if you know anything about football, it's like Ronaldinho but Canarinho.
Either
Um, it
under-
might show up. Yeah. So yeah, that's where you can find me. And what's the first question? Sorry.
major wins or successes that you would like to
Major wins. Major wins. You know, I've had so many major wins for like myself and my art, which I'm very thankful for. But in reality, I actually get so much more from seeing other people win.
share?
Like one of my jobs here represent is kind of getting people into the places that they need to be. So, you know, it's always whatever the last one was, is kind of my major win because I don't kind of, everyone's like I don't everyone's not like a children, but it's kind of like they're all, you know, a part to me. And so like picking one would mean that I'm not picking the other. And so I'll never do it, which always means it's always the most recent one.
Yeah.
The most recent one, yeah, the reason I was at BBC the other day, one I was speaking about Represent on Radio London, but at the same time, they're doing a 30 years of UK garage celebration.
Yes.
And I got two of the presenters from the station. Like BBC called me and was like, "Can you get us like two DJs?" I got them to do it. Yeah, I got them down there. It was like their dream to be on BBC playing for the UK garage and for 30 years. They're almost not always in tears, but about as close as you can come for a moment. You know, the big garage heads, Dria and Zephyr, and I got to see them there. And yeah, they said it's like the biggest moment of, or one of their most favorite moments of their career. And it never would happen if I didn't be able to put them in contact. So that's, you know, just the latest one. Whatever the next one will be, then that will be the major win.
That's amazing. Thank you ever so much. And thank you again for taking the time out. It's been absolutely amazing talking to you. Thank
No,
you.
it's been amazing. It's a great way to start my day. I really appreciate you and your time and everything you're doing for the community also.
Thank you so much. We'll speak again soon. Take care.